What if you were a monster? For this question, we all picked a different type of monster to be, doing the classic ones, zombie, vampire, werewolf, and just kind of figuring out what we do from there.
So I examined life as a werewolf. So the werewolf is actually kind of fun because unlike like the vampire and zombie, scenarios, for a lot of the time you don't really have too much of an impact to yourself, which is nice. It gives you a lot of leeway. So
sort of like for the day, you're just like a normal guy, right?
Well, so my werewolf assumptions. So one, I went with you only turn to a werewolf the night of a full moon. So obviously there's a lot of different versions of werewolves where there is just like every night. There's like by choice sometimes.
Oh, really?
Sometimes there's ones where it's like every night, but depending on like what phase the moon is in, it's like more or less strong. So like if it's a new moon, you're just get like a little furrier, I guess, and that's kind of it. Up all the way up to like, full on wolf for a full moon. I went with just full moon, full blown wolf. That's it. Second off, you do transform into a big old wolf. Sometimes apparently they just have werewolves turn to just like a regular ass wolf, which is a little less like exciting.
That's boring.
Yeah, like I want the semi bipedal like big old ferocious werewolf. And then third, and kind of most importantly, while you are wolfy, you have very limited control over your actions.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, that is, and that's kind of why I went with I wanted that aspect of it, and I did not want that along with every night it happens, because that gets a lot trickier.
That'd be impossible.
Otherwise, it's like, it's one night a month, I can control myself, so I just hang out and watch Netflix. All right, Marcus, you're up.
Right, exactly. So one night a month, night of the full moon, big ass wolf, and you are wolfy in both body and mind, I guess, in this time. So your main goal here is going to be, obviously, hiding your wolfy nature, which I want to point out, first off, technically, it may not be necessary to hide the fact that you're a werewolf. It's not a crime to turn into a wolf person. Like, I just want to put that out there. There's no,
People might try to burn you at the stake or something.
Well, right, but I mean, they would be prosecuted for that. Like that would be murder. Like you are still a human being that also just is sometimes also a wolf.
Are there werewolf rights? Werewolf civil rights?
There is no law anywhere banning you from turning into a wolf.
It's not on the books. I commit a brand new crime.
Well, we better add it.
So I mean, yes, we probably should, but regardless, like. It's legal to become a wolf. Yeah. So I will say, though, it is still a good idea to hide the fact that you're a werewolf, because if people know you're a werewolf, you're going to get blamed for a lot of shit. Because, like, think about, like, literally every werewolf movie or TV show. There's always a scene where, like they find, like, a dead hiker or something, and they're like, oh, it must have gotten killed by a bear. That always happens, like a bear or a wolf or whatever. If they know there's a werewolf around, anytime anyone gets attacked by a bear, they'll be like, fucking Jerry. It's Jerry again. God damn it.
Jerry, last week it was my dog. This week's it's fucking little Bobby down the road. It's like, and you're like, there can't be 2 full moons in 2 weeks in a row. Also, none of them were full moons. It's like, yeah, but all these dead things. And it's like, no, I can't explain the moon cycle to you any more clearly.
Exactly. So it's just like, particularly if you live in a place with bears or wolves or whatever, like, you don't want people to know about this because it's just going to give you a lot of hassle. And yes, you could wind up getting like arrested for something you may or may not have actually done.
I mean, eventually the legal system would exonerate you, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not illegal. You already established that.
That's true. Well, I guess I
think murder is still illegal.
Well, yeah, so the problem is that there's a very real chance at some point you might actually like kill someone, okay. And you don't really want that one to come back to you, particularly. Yeah. So, for the most part, like I said, hiding the fact that you're a werewolf is pretty easy. I think the moon cycle is like 29.5 days or something. So, most of the time, you just live your life, and that's great. You don't have any particularly debilitating weaknesses. There's like the silver stuff, but that one is kind of hazy on what actually happens there. Like, a lot of the time, it's like literally you have to be like pierced by silver, and you can probably avoid that one pretty easily most of the time. Sometimes there's like a silver allergy kind of thing where it like is uncomfortable to touch, but even if that's the case, like how frequently are you touching silver?
Yeah, you could be a jeweler. Like you can check if things are made of actual silver.
Ooh, perfect.
Oh, you could use it to your advantage.
Yeah, there you go.
This one didn't make me break out in hives, so I guess that'd be the equivalent of like a peanut allergic health like food inspector trying to find out if there's peanuts in factories.
So maybe
not
it's not
a great
ideal.
plan.
Yeah, but it is a plan.
It is.
But yeah, so really your goal here is going to be you have to figure out some way to on that one night a month, basically, how to hide the fact that you turn into a vicious werewolf. So your first option, and really your main option if you live like in the city in like an apartment building or something, it's just to get like really into camping. Like really into camping. Because you're not really gonna have any way to like constrain yourself that people aren't gonna notice if you live in like an apartment building. So you gotta just get as far away from people as possible. So you just sort of have this, you become that guy at work, you know, who you have like, you know, your wall is covered in pictures of you on like mountains and shit. And like you keep like a kayak on the roof of your car all the time. You know, you're that guy, you know, everyone's a little bit annoyed by the fact that you always bring it up. So then that way it's believable that every month, end of the month, you go on a camping trip. You just drive out way in the middle of nowhere and just hang out there and let it run its course and hope nothing happens.
What if like one of your coworkers is also really into camping and they want to come with you?
That's a good question.
You make excuses every month until they give up.
Right. I think what you do then, you either say you have to make it a person.
You have to make it like socially awkward for them to ask again. Like so, like the first time they ask, you'd be like, "Well, actually, it was my late wife's thing. We would always go camping under the full moon, and then she passed away. So this is kind of my personal time. So you can not join me."
You have another option too. You make it religious. You find some like weird, you know, strange religion that like has some weird monthly prayer back to nature thing or something, or make one up or whatever, and just like make it super uncomfortable.
You can say you're a pagan, right?
Yeah,
pagans are into like nature and stuff, right?
Yeah. So, you know, you figure out something along those lines to make it really uncomfortable for them, so where they don't want to do it anymore. So that would work. So I'm not gonna lie, this is a pretty bad option. I'm gonna say that if you're a werewolf, you should probably not live in an apartment building, so you can do my main plan, because this is sort of the backup plan. It'll kind of work, but you're leaving a lot up to chance here. Cause like, one, there could be someone else out there that you wind up, you know, murdering in a wolfy rage, which is not good. You probably won't get found out, which is nice cause you're out in the middle of nowhere, but you know, it's still not a good thing to have that happen. Obviously,
rather not kill someone.
Yeah. Preferably let's not kill people in general. And then also just like, I'm seeing this like disaster scenario where once again, you don't really have a whole lot of control while you're a wolfy. So, you know, you go out, you pitch your tent, do all that, turn to a wolf. And then what if you just run like 4 miles away and then you wake up the next morning like naked and 4 miles away from your campsite and your car and everything and have to like find your way back. Yeah. So this is sort of your disaster, not really disaster scenario, but you know, this is not ideal, but it'll technically kind of work. Your better option is requires some more, control of your living space. So you're going to have to own your own home, and preferably you're going to want to own a home with a little land around it so you're not, you know, don't have neighbors too close. But that's not a huge deal if you can't pull that one off, but preferably that's sort of the situation you want. And then what you're going to want is you're going to want a place where you can restrain yourself and preferably also, you know, soundproof the room so no one can hear your like wolfy cries and whatnot.
A reverse murder room. That looks exactly like a regular murder room, but it's for not murdering.
No, but so here's the thing is that you definitely need to be able to, you know, and if you want to live a normal life, you need to like be able to have people around your house. And if they like stumble into it, you have to have an explanation. So you're going to have to get into some kinky sex shit.
I was just thinking that. I was hoping you were going here.
That's the best way to have a soundproof room with restraints in it, right? Like,
yeah.
And what's also great is that if if, for example, one of your friends stumbles into this room and you have to explain it, they are never going to bring this up again to anyone.
You don't even have to explain it. Like, if I was at a friend's home and, I was like, oh, where's the bathroom? Like, third door on the left. And I went to, like, the third door on the right, and I opened it up, and it was just, like, a straight-up sex dungeon. I'd be like, I tried the door on the left first, and I never even did that.
Well, no, and here's what's great, though, is that with this friend, if they ask you to do something the night of the full moon, all you have to do is just say, oh, I have plans that night. I'll be like, nope, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
Fine, yep, you're busy. I see that now. Don't tell me anything else.
Yeah, but...
So it becomes your alibi, too. It's perfect. So this is the ideal situation. And I mean, you don't have to actually be into that stuff if you don't want to, but I mean, maybe you try it and you like it. Who knows? You find a hobby.
Maybe you saw 50 Shades of Grey and you liked it.
Yeah, you had some questions. It's good. So if you're actually into that, that's cool. Everything works out great then. That's the ideal situation, honestly. But if you don't, just go along with it. Act like you do, and you have a nice, perfect, alibi that no one will ask too many questions about. And good way to just stop anyone from getting hurt or anything. And the rest of your life, you're just, normal guy. It's perfect. So that's my foolproof plan for life as a werewolf. Kinky sex dungeon.